is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Some say there is beauty in simplicity, but after today our drivers might say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Snetterton is a relatively new but divisive circuit here on iRacing, and this 200 layout has a lot of speed, but very few corners. With two classes on track and sub 1 minute lap times, there are those that might be simply left frustrated. We'll see if it all gets complicated as we get ready to watch round 9 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Nick, with Snetterton being effectively more of a British club circuit, some of our viewers might not know this one as well, so why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, Joe, well, to all of our viewers here, if you've never heard of Snetterton, don't feel bad. When we think of British motor racing, we think of the big boys, right? Brands Hatch and Silverstone. Today we meet one of the often overlooked venues here at Snetterton. Located in Norfolk, UK, the Kamel GT series will be racing the 200 circuit today, which, to no surprise, is 2 miles long, or 3.22 kilometers. Looking from the sky, you'd think that looks like a simple 8-turn track that just any rookie could tackle and be fast at, but in reality, we're going to see two different classes of cars today try to balance fast straightaways with slick, tight turns and blind, sweeping corners. To get a better idea of just how tricky this track really is, let's take you down to the racing surface for your GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Johnny Bell in the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around Snetterton. Coming down to Riches, this isn't the typical passing spot you'd expect for a first corner. It's fast with a double apex, and should anyone find themselves side by side, it'll certainly be edge of your seat stuff. You've then got a short burst down to Wilson, which is a much more likely place to outbrake someone. It's a very tight little hairpin, but in this 200 layout, the exit is hairy for the Nissan. Drivers will need to be wary of the turbo lag and be gentle with their right foot so as not to spin out. And if you do get wheel spin, you'll be vulnerable down the Bentley straight. If anyone gets beside you and neither are willing to lift, well, good luck trying to hold your line through Brundle and into Nelson. This combination is absolutely diabolical, and even the best drivers will struggle to nail it right every time. Stay off the tall inside curve, and then you head for the bomb hole. This is the only place on the course with significant elevation change, and it's the squirrely exit that tends to force errors out of drivers. Then comes the patience trying quorum. The correct line is to hold to the right, but you'll be tempted to let the car drift out. You'll see why that's a bad idea once you've reached the braking for Murray's. This is another spot where a good exit is critical now that we've hit the pit straight. But hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Snetterton. Quick lap around in the faster class, so that's what the Nissans are going to be doing, whipping around here in those incredibly quick lap times. Now, let's take a glance at the championships that they're competing for in this series, starting with the GTP Championship. Up at the top of that, Fabian Gerber still leading over Justin Albrecht, who's jumped into second place. We've been waiting for Justin to really make an impression, and I think he's finally gotten the handle of this series. Mike Houghton has been having a really great season. He bumps up one position as well. The driver that suffers because of those two climbing, well, that's Ardo Iamaki. He falls down to 40. And you can see only Fabian Gerber has drop points right now. So he's even got safety in his pockets besides having that nice little lead. Timo Toika rounds out the top 5. Now, let's take a glance at the GTP Lights standing. This is the Amateur Championship in the Nissans. Martin Krejcik leads there by 21.5 points. If you're wondering about the half point, well, when they have a split, they award half points to some of the drivers to keep things fair. Thankfully, don't have a split here today. Johnny Bell jumps up one position into second. Matthias Goldauger is the one that's demoted down to third because of that. And then you see Kopak and Peterson are going to round out that championship for the amateur level. However, Nick, we also have the GT cars. What are we looking at on the two championships there?
Yeah, in the GTO stands right now, Phil Lake right at the top there with 132 points. Now these are, notice the drop weeks that we will take into consideration, but Jamie Hall right behind him and Riley Thompson, who moved up a spot over Velo Rilla from Finland there, Nicholas Mukanos in 5th place right now.
And of course, there is the GTU as we take a look at the Amateur Championship over in the Audi classes. Milan Arnozzi currently leading the way, and look how tight it is. And that one is the closest of all 4 that we have there. Andrea Albertinelli only 4.5 points back. From there on back, it's mostly a battle for 3rd. Thomas Stilmuth, Hideki Koivisto, and Iskrin Pondev are the ones that are fighting for that 3rd position. All very tight between them as well. Of course, we might have viewers that have not watched this before. Nick, what are the race details for today?
Well, it's going to be a good one here at Snetterton. Round 9 of 12 here in the Kamel GT Series on iRacing. A 15-lap race today, 40 minutes for that race. The open setups, and you take a look there at your scorings, 40 points for the win, 35, 30, and so on down 4th. You can see your scoring there. It's going to be a good one, though, today, Joe.
Apologies, that's actually the Lotus 49 graphic that we have.
Yeah, I was, you know.
Threw you for a loop, I know. It took me a second to realize what had happened there, too. Yeah, you're right.
I was about to say, 15-lap race here would go pretty quickly.
Yeah. We'd be in and out very quick. I'd get a nice little break before we switch over to TGFX here in a moment. Yeah, you're right. It is a 40-minute race that we have out there today. There we go. Yes. Yep. Open. It's pretty much similar, though. An open setup and no expected stop for fuel. Big differences of scoring, I believe. So there's our race details. And if you enjoy this sort of racing, don't forget you can find even more vintage and official racing here on the iRacing Esports Network. Please subscribe if you enjoy this sort of stuff because, well, we enjoy it and we enjoy you watching. As we watch here now the qualifying taking place. Pretty much everybody, I think, at this point has taken their 2 laps because they're so short around here. You see, Jamie Hall is one of the few that's still yet to put his 2nd lap time in, and he's got plenty of time left to do it. Right now at the top of the Nissans, it's Ardo Iamaki, and Phil Lake leads the GTO class there, Nick. Yeah, a lot of close times, but we were talking earlier in the pre-show that this is a fairly new track on iRacing. We have a lot of inexperienced drivers, even the best drivers on iRacing, just they haven't been able to get a lot of seat time at this track. I mean, you see in the Audi 90 GTO class, you have 6 seconds difference from first to last right now of the qualified time. So that's going to be a big factor today, Joe. I think we're going to see a lot of people learning as they go around here. No doubt, especially with how traffic works. This is the first time this series, I think, has done the 200 layout. Jamie Hall gets his 2nd lap in. It is a 107 flat, and that's enough to bump him up to 5th in his class. He should be... No, he's not quite the last one. Antti Lepisto is just finishing his 2nd lap right now. He sits in 3rd in the Nissans, but he slows as he comes to the line. So he's given up on that lap, even though it did count. Maybe he wants to start in 3rd. That will give him the inside into the 1st corner. That should be everyone. I'm just double-checking. Matthew Jette is still circulating. He's at the bottom of the GTO class without a lap time in. This will be his first one.
Yeah, you said it. It might be better to start in 3rd place than 2nd here. This is, for the most part, a single... groove racetrack all the way around. There's really only one preferred line to take in a lot of these corners, and I think qualifying here way more important than at a lot of other tracks. Passing here is just going to be so hard for these guys today.
We're right on board with Matthew. He qualified in 11th for his first lap, and like we said, very, very short. So even though it only says 1:34 left, he's going to be able to finish this 2nd lap. This is one of those tricky corners Nick was talking about, through Brundle into Nelson. As he tucks it in nicely after the first corner, taking a little bit of that curve, and now just 2 more right-handers and a left-hander to go. Around a long, long Corum, this understeering Audi, not a fan of corners like this. It looks like Matthews on a decent lap here. Let's see what he's got in store, Nick.
Yeah, pretty good so far. Right now, these corners, like we were talking, though, just so difficult. One little mistake is going to allow a freight train by you, especially with multi-car classing.
Yep, and a 108.3 means he's slower on that lap, and that is going to be all of our field with their 2 laps in. The grid is now set. Let's go through our starting order. A little bit smaller of a GTP field here today. Ardo Yamaki is on the pole with Fabian Gerber starting in second. Antti Lepisto, as we mentioned, gave up on his second lap, curiously, even though it probably would have been faster. He'll start from third. Martin Krejcik will be P4 with Radar Anderson starting in fifth. Brendan Philippe will be P6 at the drop of the green with John Keefe starting seventh. Pablo Suarez starts eighth, and Matt Malone has joined us. Glad to see you out there, Matt. In ninth, George Jaramillo in 10th, and rounding out our GTP field is Paul J. Crone. What's the GTOs looking like there, Nick?
It's looking competitive. We've got Philip Lake on the pole for them. Nicholas Mukanos right behind him. Rob Oleniak behind them in third, and then Riley Thompson and Jamie Hall behind him. That'll be your top 5 for the GTOs. Andrea Albertinelli and Tanner McCullough. Ove Trangaré, we've seen him a lot in a lot of these series. Gregorio Buscemi and Franco Scurry is going to be in the 16 car today, starting 21st overall. And then 22nd overall is going to be Matteo Jete, Bronislav Robanek, and Hideki Koivisto. There's a tongue twister for you today. He's going to be starting 24th overall, and 25th, Thomas Delmuth, Brian Shanahan, Ian Hannon, Michael Haynes, and Lucas Fort is going to round out the field today.
So relatively small. We said it was a divisive track. Some drivers tend to elect to just dip out since they have drop weeks on the tracks that they don't feel as comfortable on. And this, as we mentioned, with it being new as well, seems to be the case where a lot of drivers have decided to just kind of rest and maybe watch the broadcast. Hello to all of you, and well, hope you join us next week if you have stepped out of the car. It is a relatively small field, but still a lot of cars for what is a merely 2-mile track out there. And thankfully, it is fewer Nissans than it is Audis. So as they whip through with the very fast lap times that they have in that prototype class, there shouldn't be quite as many having to trip over our large GTO field. You can see them lining up for their sort of, I guess, maybe quarter of a pace lap, not even half a pace lap around here. We're just going to come around Coram and then through Murray's, and they will get a green behind that roof pace car. So we wait for the flag to be flown to tell the pace car to get going, and now he is on his way. They are going to try and split the start. They don't have a lot of time to try and give a gap between the cars. You can see the Audis just waiting a little bit there and working their way around that long right-hander. They've got a little bit of a wait after Murray's before they do reach that pit entry, so the roof pace car will lead them for a little bit here. No pit stops to worry about, so they don't have to worry about that pit entry too much. And now that the roof pace car is in, immediately Ardo Yamaki does not wait at all. He gets a fantastic jump. Fabian Gerber challenged by Antti Lepisto for that second place as they come down to riches. You can see they've strung out the cars quite a bit to this first double apex right-hander, and it looks like an incident-free start for the Nissans. How do the GTOs look?
GTOs are looking clean, very similar start. Philip Lake shot out of a cannon. He clearly got that first place position and cleared Nicholas Mukanos very well. He almost came up and went around a couple of Nissans. He was so fast.
Didn't split it as much as they probably would have liked as they come around to try and complete this first lap. Already we've got our leader coming through the bomb hole and into Coram. Yamaki trying to pull away from Fabian Gerber, but not very well. Now that Gerber is fended off Lepisto, he has focused his sights ahead, coming back onto the Senna straight, getting a great launch and keeping him under threat. So pretty clean first lap. Brian Shanahan seems to have found the pits. I'm not sure what incident befell him. We'll try and get back to that a little bit later. Right now, our leader down in the GTOs, Phil Lake, ahead of Nick Mukanos.
Yeah, these GTO drivers really well separated themselves from each other. They all really spaced out there at the start and let each other have a lot of room. They know it's a 40-minute race. As looks like there's a Nissan slightly off there. It looks like Paul Krone picked up a cone on the front of his car there. Looks like he went off track, but yeah, the GTOs back here really well playing with each other right now early in this race.
And they're probably going to be glad to see Paul streak away in the distance. They don't want to be held up by this Nissan, especially if he's damaged. As they now hit into the twisty last part of the circuit, the downforce of that Nissan should allow him to stretch away. Phil Lake still leading at the front as we jump back over here. We were on the GTPs. Now we're on Phil Lake, leading ahead of Nick Mukanos. Rob Olenek giving good chase. In fact, it's a streak of cars all the way back to Tanner McCullough in 6th before we get a gap.
Yeah, I think being one of the first races here at Snetterton for a lot of these drivers, I think they're just trying to, in the early stages of this race, just sit around here and log off a couple laps just to get a good feel for. I mean, yeah, these guys put in a lot of practice, but to get a good feel of how this car will handle on this track in a race setting around other cars, and soon they'll have the Nissans catching them from behind. But I think right now a lot of these two guys just playing it safe, trying to be cautious.
Meanwhile, in the Nissans, John Keefe was under threat from Radar Anderson. He hasn't given up on him. Oh, but he goes way wide coming out of Murray's. That's going to hurt him down the long front stretch. Brandon Philippe sees if he could take advantage of it, but he doesn't seem to be gaining. And as they hit Riches, it looks like Radar is actually blinking. No opportunity for Brendan, into Riches. They work their way through Wilson. And coming out at Chapman, he once again fails to get himself a good launch. Instead of on the attack, now he's on the defense because Matt Malone, that number 11, is starting to size him up. He pokes to the inside, coming up to Brundle, but thinks better of it.
The battle for third place right now in the GTOs, they're starting to really bunch each other up right now. Rob Olenek sitting in third, but right behind him, Riley Thompson is going to make his way up to 4th with Tanner McCullough right behind him. Jamie Hall had a big mistake there. He went off the track into the dirt, kept it clean, but lost a couple of positions there.
Yeah, Thompson just holding off McCullough, as he has a big bobble heading into Nelson, and a failed shift from McCullough gives him a shove from behind from Jamie Hall. Did not expect this slowing car. On screen right before we switched to this, we did see the pass. That was Brendan Phillip passing Radar Anderson for that 6th position. This is hot and heavy in the GTOs, though, as these cars, just one mistake is causing all kinds of chaos between them. After Hall gave a little bit of contact to McCullough, now he's got to worry about Ove Trangrade sitting back there in 7th.
The runs that these guys are getting down the straightaway, not as good as I think they had anticipated coming into this thing. They're not getting good runs down into the first turn there off of Senna Straight. But it is creating a lot of different lines. People are going inside and outside going in. Even on the backstretch here, the Bentley straightaway, as they are on now, but creating a lot of different racing lines and entries into Brundle and Nelson here.
We might want to go to the leaders because Iamaki, even though he's been leading this whole race, he's now hit the back of the GTO field. He overtakes the first two successfully, although it was through some of the twistier bits there with Wilson and Chapman. You could see him having to absolutely pop out of Lucas Fort. And unfortunately, it's going to have to break a lot sooner than he's used to, and you can see how much that causes Fabian Gerber to gain. In fact, he tips the back of him. He gets spun around. Thankfully, doesn't get hit, but Fabian Gerber takes over the lead with a little bit of elbow grease. Let's take a look at the replay. Iamaki gets going. Lepisto replaces him in 2nd. But just within the first few... Oh, and after that happens, we need to go to Fabian Gerber on this replay because Gerber just spun out, I think, with some contact. Here's the incident. This Iamaki finding himself getting turned around with the cars checking up. Now, if we go over to Gerber,
That was Thomas Delmuth there in the 27 car.
Here we go. We're going to take a look at Gerber's incident here. This will be the first time I've actually seen what happened. I caught the very tail end of it, and he wound up in a really uncomfortable position. He was right up against the barrier. He's almost kind of stuck where he was. Oh, I almost didn't look like contact at all there. As we come back live, that means Fabian Gerber goes from leading for 2 corners to being 9th now. Lepisto, because of both those drivers having problems, is our current leader, and Ardo Yamaki recovers to 2nd. So already getting a little bit of chaos out there. He's still having to work his way through the thick part of this GTO field, and you can see Yamaki in that red and white Nissan trying his best to give chase. Meanwhile, down in the GTOs, looks like Phil Lake has not been able to shake Nick Mukanos nor Rob Olenek. They've got a slight breakaway from the cars behind, but we've seen the Nissans, Nick, can really tend to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. And I have a feeling that once they get caught by our leaders, this is going to be a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah, I don't think Philip Lake and Nicholas Mukanos are going to be told by any Nissan driver to stop racing so we can pass you. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to keep this racing up. And, you know, we saw some chaos early there with the Nissans catching the Audis, but it might get even worse when they catch these top 3 or 4 leaders here.
Multi-class with lead battles crossing over each other certainly tends to shake things up. As they come down the Bentley straight, braking for Brundle. Lake still trying to do all he can to get away from Nick Mukanos, but just can't seem to find the pace to get him out of his slipstream. You can see them using all the track up they can. Out of the bomb hole up to Coram. And now they've got the Nissans approaching quickly. Antti Lepisto just a few seconds behind.
Mukanos looks to be really out-braking Philip Lake here well. He can do that when he's in 2nd place there. He knows right where Philip Lake is. These brake lights, I mean, it really helps him, but he's really been out-braking them and hitting those curbs hard, driving in deep to these corners. That's really been helping him catch up here.
Right on board with Lepisto. We now come up to Riley Thompson. It's a little bit behind this group. You can see just how quickly these Nissans can gain on the Audis. We said it earlier, 6 seconds a lap faster. Now down the Bentley straight. He's got a good view, but unfortunately, I think he's not going to catch them until they get to Brundle, which is exactly where he doesn't want to catch them.
Yeah, right through the bomb hole in Coram. It's not a pretty place to catch him at all. That turn, we've seen trouble there already today, and I think Lepisto knows that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him race a little bit conservatively here to get by them as he goes around Olenek there.
There's 1, there's 2, and the extra downforce on the Nissan makes it nice and easy around the outside of Coram. Not so for his competitor. The car chasing Ardo Yamaki is stuck behind them. Meanwhile, we got a little bit of a battle between Krejcik and Anderson. This is for 5th position. Anderson in the yellow machine, Krejcik in the green and white Tic Tac car. To Riches, getting by the car of Ove Trangrade, letting them through nicely. We ride on the 007 cam of Martin. Having to gently put the power down out of Chapman here onto the Bentley straight. Both of them looking nice and smooth, but you can see Krejcik starts to pull himself a handy little gap.
Yeah, the downforce on these straightaways, it's really allowing Anderson to get a lot closer there, but he's got to get off the gas a little bit sooner than Krejcik just to avoid contact there or to avoid racing him too hard. He doesn't want to be side by side in a bad position of this track. I was looking through the notes in the pre-race here. A lot of the, basically every corner, every passing place on this track is basically a danger zone as well.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the GTOs have tightened up yet again. Lake just being overtaken by John Keefe. He's got Brendan Philippe now trying to squeeze to the inside of that second apex. He took a lot of curb, Nick.
That was real close for Philippe there.
He gets through, so do all of them. Now they've got the battle we were just watching. Krejcik and Anderson creeping up on them. As they come down the Bentley straight, Phil Lake uses that little bit of traffic to get himself a gap to maybe try and have some breathing space. Krejcik approaches first, but he makes a big mistake as we ride on board with Anderson. No room for radar to try and capitalize. They're going to wait for the outside of Gorham. We've seen it's possible to go the long way around. Both of them are able to do it safely through 2 cars, but not 3.
Pretty impressive though that Anderson was able to hold on to the back of Krejcik. I thought he might get lost in the shuffle there, but he didn't. He stayed right behind him.
Ooh, but look at this as he's trying to get through Phil Lake. Lake was not interested in trying to give him the inside with his little lead he's built up, and that cost a lot of time to the 6th place Anderson. Krejcik is now about 2 seconds ahead. Haven't really checked in on our GTP leaders in a while, and well, Lepisto and Iamaki are very close together. Ardo may have lost some time early on, but he's slowly regained that. And we should point out, I know we don't have the time up on our graphic, but there is about 26 minutes left on the clock right now, so we're about a quarter of the way through, a little over a quarter. Ooh, wow, traffic really holding up Lepisto. That was Lucas Fort, just didn't do anything wrong, but is in the wrong place at the wrong time. Bentley straight. This is a great run, Nick, by Iamaki. This is the closest we've seen him yet.
Yeah, all this traffic allowing Iamaki. Oh, came real close to him there. He really pushed the limit there to try to get around him here or go side by side. Not going to make it stick there yet.
Took a look. He obviously is starting to make Lepisto feel threatened because he hugged that inside line heading down through up towards Brundle. Oh, and we had a mistake from our former leader, Fabian Gerber. Actually, this is worth a replay. He made some big contact with Pablo Suarez. Actually, one of the more unusual incidents I've seen in a while. There we see just the tail end of it, and then on top of it, he gets sent out almost into the alfalfa. Here we go, we're going to watch it. Sticks his nose into the inside, down into Rich's, and 2 into 1 just didn't quite work out. He gets turned and almost carried, Nick.
Wow. Yeah, that looked more like an NFL quarterback getting sacked there than a typical racing incident.
Well, that sent him backwards and with quite a bit more damage than he already had. Oh wow, coming through Nelson there. Michael Haynes trying to get out of the way of this battle for the GTP lead, and Iamaki still stuck behind the black and white car of Antti Lepisto. Around the outside of Bronislav Robanek through Corum. Little look to the inside down there from Artu Iamaki, but nothing doing. So I'm starting to wonder how long can Antti manage to hold him off, especially with the traffic he keeps catching.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of drivers saving grace today, that traffic. I mean, once you might be faster than everyone else here when it comes to a time trial or open practice, but when you get in a race scenario like these drivers are right now, this traffic is going to really be the great equalizer in this race, especially in the Nissans.
Back out of Nelson once again and through the bomb hole. This has been one of the tightest fights for the lead we've seen in this race all day. As they come out back onto the center straight, If you're wondering about what happened to the GTO lead, well, Phil Lake stretched it away at about 4.5 seconds over Mukanos. And actually, we have had a change for the podium over there because Olenek has been overtaken by Thompson, but he's not been able to shake him.
Yeah, nice. Thompson has P3 right now. Olenek right behind him, and they are still real close together. They're getting through some lap traffic, other Audis that are lap traffic, that is. And Thompson, just a couple of laps ago, about a lap and a half ago, he was able to cleanly make a pass, and Olenek struggling here a little bit in the early parts of the race, I think, to keep up with these front runners.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised because it looked like he had pace early on, but it seems like maybe a mistake or a little bit of traffic has set him backwards, and Thompson able to take advantage. And Thompson himself is very much on his way back forward after a bit of a slump in previous seasons. But Olenek's not going to let him get away with it easily as they come back onto the Bentley straight. But there was a big slide there from Rob, and that's going to cost him an opportunity.
Yeah, you see Thompson there weaving his way down the front, or down the stretch there, trying to allow, or trying not to allow Olenek to get a draft or a run on him as he hits that curb pretty hard. He really dove down deep in that turn and hit the curb and shot him straight up in the air.
Yeah, he's lucky. Yeah, I was just about to say, he's lucky he didn't spin out. They're going to be overtaken by Suarez. And that should be a non-issue, except for maybe the exit, because these Nissans tend to struggle to get to the power. And you can see Riley Thompson, even though he isn't able to accelerate away, poor Rob Olenek also slips up through Murray's and yet again denies himself an opportunity. He's starting to run out of time. 21 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Thompson or even Olenek, I'm wondering if one of these drivers, if we were just in the Audis today, if there were no Nissans on the track, I'm wondering if one of them has the speed to pull away from the other one. It's just there's nothing they can do. They are just being swarmed by this other class of Nissans here.
Yeah, and we still have quite a bit of the field still out there. This is Paul Crone. Oh, Olenek looking to the inside just as that Nissan's trying to come through. Tries to take advantage of Riley Thompson. Slips up. They run into each other, and Nelson. Both are able to continue, but with probably some significant damage. That was a hefty thwack.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. What would happen if the leaders of each class met each other? Well, you just saw it right there.
Yeah, and that's Iamaki on the chase of Rapisto, who gets a great run to get away from Iamaki down the Senna straight. So what was very close between those two has come apart yet again. Poor Rob Olenek not only couldn't avoid Riley Thompson, but also has Ove Trangarade all over his gearbox now.
Yeah, Trangarade had a great view of that. He was loving it in front of him. He knew that was his chance to close in, and as you say, Olenek go a little wide there. Trangarade can't get around him too well, but looks like they've sorted it out for the most part. Little damage to the front of Thompson and Olenek, but I think they're going to be all right. Is Trangarade going to go down the inside here to try to get around Olenek? Thought better of it.
Yeah, we'll see how wounded those cars are, though, as Ove seems to have a little bit of pace on a straight line. These cars are already practically a brick going through the air, but certainly helps to keep your aero in good condition, as it's now a 3-car fight to decide the last spot on the podium. John Keefe not making himself many friends here, getting a little bit in the way coming through Murray's. Again, didn't really do anything wrong, just was not really in a convenient place.
Joe, I don't think there's any turn on this track that is convenient for the Nissans to pass the Audis.
Yeah, there's very few that allow them a nice, clean way through. They tend to like to brake much later, and the one they just went through, Wilson, might offer a chance, but they, of course, have to wait through Riches before they can do that. Keefe now fully by as he lets that battle continue on its own. In fact, it's separated just a little bit for the most part, so why don't we check back in on our GTP leaders since we haven't looked at them in a little while? Because Lepisto and Iamaki are about half a second apart, and they got more traffic to deal with.
Yeah, these guys have stayed together just about this whole race so far. We're over halfway through now, and they have really stuck together, not racing each other too hard, but racing each other clean as they work their way around traffic.
That was Phil Lake, our leader in the GTOs. As I think Matthew Jette just got involved in something. He was apologizing for something. I'm not sure what it was. Trying to figure out where he is on the timing and scoring here. He's 70-6, which is, if I recall, a pretty good climb from where he was before. Looks like it's not really worth getting a replay. Just he had a bit of a miscommunication with Brendan Philippe, who had an off track. It is now fully past him anyways. We continue to watch our battle for the lead. Iamaki still stalking Lepisto. It's a battle of two Finns up to Murray's corner. Fortunately, Iamaki a little bit offline because of having to overtake Giorgio Buscemi. So what was 3/10 is back up to 7/10. Through Riches they go. Ooh. Oh! Lucas Fort just really had to kind of hold his line and pray there as they split each side of him. Wow, great run onto the Bentley straight though for Iamaki. And as
Olenek going around the inside, they're side by side there for P3. And then Trangarade right behind them almost had to take a line there, but he just, I mean, obviously he didn't want to take it 3 wide, and somehow Riley Thompson able to hold on to P3 there through all of that.
Yeah, he did a great job finishing it from the outside. I'm kind of surprised that Ove wasn't able to get that pass done. He's still very close. Look at them close into each other down the straight, but it's so hard to pass here from Brundle to Nelson, so none of them willing to step out of line and attempt anything.
They were just getting separated a little bit, and they had a couple of Nissans, and you know, we've seen that all day. Clean racing starts to happen, they start to separate, and then traffic hits, and you all get bunched back up in a big gaggle.
As Olenek squirms on the power, trying to stay within the slipstream of Riley Thompson. He is much closer this time. Oh, but a bad shift is going to hurt him. Heading down to Riches. Here comes Ove Trangarade looking to the inside, and another look to the inside from Rob Olenek, but he gets chopped off at the nose as Riley Thompson is in no mood to give up. And that was a blown motor we just saw. That was Brendan Philippe downshifting a little too quickly on his way into Wilson. Oh, and we need to go to our GTP leaders right now because it is incredibly close. Ardo Iamaki now on the attack as Lepisto stays defensive, coming up into Riches. Oh, but he slides! He slides because of the traffic ahead of him. This is going to hand it over on a silver platter to Iamaki. He finally takes the lead. Franco Scurry was right where Antti Lepisto wanted to be, and he tried to dive it into the corner, maybe a little too hard, Nick.
Yeah, Iamaki was like, I mean, it looked like a bump draft there as you see it now on the straightaway, and he got it into the corner, and there was just no room for both of them with the traffic.
Great recovery by Lepisto. That slide could have gone way worse as he caught it, but you could see the time that he lost. 3 seconds up to Iamaki now because of that incident. Now that that has settled itself, battle between Thompson, Olenek, and Trangarade deserves our focus yet again. In fact, Trangarade has got a great run. You can see Rob Olenek going defensive. That car seems really hurt on straight line speed. It's the inside for this corner, but it's the outside for Nelson. Can he get it rolled up in time? Oof. Tense stuff there between Olenek and Trangarade.
I've been watching this battle for the last couple of laps. I cannot believe Riley Thompson's been able to hang on to that third position, and I can't believe that Trangarade hasn't been able to find a way around him. The large part of why he hasn't been able to is because every time he catches them, he either has traffic or Olenek just takes a really good defensive line.
Yet again, weaving, trying to break that draft. Riley Thompson doing all he can. You know, that's something I didn't anticipate, is these Audis making this almost a bit of a draft track, it seems, from racing we've watched with them today.
It's been an interesting combination. If you had an oval short track and you stuck two massive straightaways in the middle of that, that's basically what we've got today for these guys.
It's an interesting comparison as we see another pop out, this time to the same side he was last time, but he's fully passed by the braking into Brundle. And I think Olenek has to give up the ghost because Trangrade has solidified that 4th place. Now, can he chase down Thompson?
Yeah, Thompson pulled away there more than he has the last couple of laps at least, and he is, we were talking a little bit earlier, he might have a little bit of damage from previous incidents on the front of that car, but Trangrade, you can see he is closing the gap.
Yeah, he quickly has disposed of Rob Olenek. So it seems like the Norwegian was being held up, if anything, and down into the braking. Wow. Wow, yeah, Ove Trangrade must have had a bad qualifying or something, because he is coming, and he's not letting anything hold him back anymore with only 12 minutes left to go. He wants a 3rd place here.
Can't blame him. I don't think anyone at this point is going to catch Philip Lake or Nicholas McConos. I think this is the highest position, unless we see an incident up front with traffic or something. I think this is the furthest these 3 drivers are going to be able to fight for.
And, you know, that's not out of the cards for the way this racing has gone here, especially the way that the Kamel GT Series is known for its racing to play out. You can't count on anything until you've crossed that finish line. So it looks like Thompson's responded a little bit, maybe picked up the pace, because Trangrade hasn't gained as much as he did previously. Let's see what he can do down the straight. Both of them using quite a bit of the AstroTurf on the exit of Murray's, and looks like not a very good exit for Ove Trangrade this time. But if you thought the battle for the lead in the GTPs was over, we got some news for you. Iamaki and Lepisto are getting ready to go at.
Didn't take long for Lepisto to catch up to him after that incident.
Yeah, and you can see he's already right underneath that rear wing. Wonder if the traffic had something to do with it. Unfortunately, they're coming up to traffic within their own class, which is always a lot harder to take care of. And that's Matt Malone having to deal with Rob Olenek now, so it's a double whammy. They better hope that Matt is able to get rid of Rob here very quickly, and he finally gets by. Look at them just weave in and out, picking their line at will. Oh, but a bad corner for Iamaki because Riley Thompson was there. Had to unfortunately compromise his line. Doesn't offer quite an opportunity yet, but Lepisto still stalking him.
The last time these 2 groups of drivers met the leaders of the GTPs in the 3rd place battle for the GTOs, it did not end well.
Yeah, and it didn't end well for Lepisto, so hopefully he's figured something out since then. Of course, it was a pretty unique set of circumstances for him, and he went off into riches. So he continues to try and follow Iamaki. Iamaki's still trying to deal with Matt Malone, who seems to have no interest in going a lap down. Oh, but now he's going to have to, because Matt Malone goes off course and he's going to hit the wall hard.
Big hit from Malone there.
Looks like the bomb hole claims another victim. One of the few places on this track where there's any elevation change, Nick.
Yeah, that was, oh man, Malone's car's hurt badly there, but Malone, I think he saw who he had in his mirror there, and he just wanted to drive a little bit harder to not go a lap down, or to at least put up a good fight for it, a good showdown, you could say, I suppose. But yeah, I think he just overdrove there and lost some traction.
So we come back live. I'm not sure what he's doing trying to enter the pit lane where he is, but that Grip TV car not looking good. Iamaki is the one we're watching. on screen with Lepisto just about a half-second back, but the clock is ticking away. I'm wondering if Lepisto needs to get on this, or should he be patient and wait for some traffic to throw him a chance?
He can wait for traffic to throw him a chance, but he's got to be careful that the traffic doesn't hurt him more than it does for Iamagi.
Oh, and we've certainly heard, excuse me if I could talk today, P4. Oh, getting very tight, a little bit of shove from behind Martin Krejcik and Radar Anderson. Radar tries to let him keep the position, but in that process, Fabian Gerber gets both of them.
Wow. Fabian Gerber, great awareness there to get around.
Yeah, two very polite drivers, and Fabian, who had really no horse in that race, said, all right, well, you guys are playing nice, I'm just going to take the spot. And they're still battling it out as they have a GTO car going way off. It's going to continue here on the center straight. Krejcik in the green car leading the yellow car of Anderson, but Radar not close enough to attack here into Riches. Break for Wilson. That's Jamie Hall splitting them temporarily. Looks like both are going to be able to get through now, finally here on the Bentley straight. So as I mentioned before, haven't had a whole lot of attrition. Malone's the most recent, but Brennan Philippe, Tanner McCullough, George Jaramillo, and Brian Shanahan are the only cars that are out of this race of the 29-car field. Still got 25 of them out there running. A battle for third, and UTOs as Riley Thompson looking in his mirrors at the Norwegian, making sure that he doesn't sneak up and attack him in the final 6 minutes of this race.
Traingrade's done a great job being very patient here. This whole race, he was in 5th and then slowly up to 4th, and now he's slowly trying to progress up to 3rd to get a podium today.
He's watching and waiting. We've seen him race this car a lot. We've seen him race vintage cars all the time here on the GSRC. He's got a great run coming out of the bomb hole, but can't do anything with it up to Coram.
Yeah, that really hurt his whole turn there. That's such a wide, sweeping carousel there. And that really hurt him. He had to go on the outside, and these Audis don't like the outside here on these on a lot of these turns, like the Nissans do.
A lot harder to race side by side. Thompson still trying to avoid the draft, or actually, no, I think he's trying to get out of the way of Michael Haynes. The lapped car, now they've got Fabian Gerber trying to wait patiently. I think he's going to split him, unfortunately. Oh, as he almost gets into Riley Thompson, gives him space at the last second. Thompson manages not to be overtaken by Ove, but that slows both of them up. And now Rob Olenek has got his nose in this battle once more.
I'm surprised Traingrade wasn't able to drive in there harder and be able to follow Gerber through there, but now he's got to defend Olenek from behind.
I think even Ove didn't expect Gerber to try and make that move. That was a long shot. Gerber doesn't have anybody he's battling with right now. He's 12 seconds back from the next car. Kind of surprised that Fabian didn't just sit on his laurels and wait for those guys to settle it. Right behind them, you can see the battle as Krejcik almost got into Olenek, and that slowed him up. So Anderson is going to ride in his slipstream, but I wonder if Radar's got some damage, because just doesn't seem to be able to gain on him in the straightaways. Meanwhile, that's Ove Traingrade on the inside of Riley Thompson. He managed to get his nose in, but they're going to go 3 wide down into Wilson, and Krejcik sneaks through, still side by side between Thompson and Traingrade. Out of Chapman they go. Who's going to have the momentum? They've got one more car that's trying to get through. That's Anderson, also in a battle, and somehow, in all of the chaos going on, Riley Thompson does not lose the position.
Great job there by Anderson to get around, yeah.
I don't know how they keep track of everything from within the cockpit, because even from above, it just looks like a jumble out there.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, Riley Thompson there, he had to focus on Trangerade and Olenek behind him, and then out of nowhere, Anderson was trying to get around them because he's a Nissan. He knew he was faster, and you got to yield to some extent. But meanwhile, I mean, you can't just give up on letting Trangerade around you.
As we watch this, we'll check back in on it in a little bit if it starts to heat up, but Iamaki and Lepisto still close together. Lepisto's run him down, but it's like he's stalled out. Look, he just can't do anything with that gap more than about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just waiting for the perfect moment. I think that might be his best shot at this point if he just doesn't have the speed, if he's tore up his tires or anything too soon. But Iamaki, I think, just has to cruise, and the biggest thing for Iamaki right now, he has to be clean. He has to be real careful getting around these Audis should he catch any of them.
See him try to break the draft down the Bentley straight. Time is ticking down. Iamaki may have inherited the lead somewhat, but he did start on pole, we should point out. So he's back where his pace should merit him. And actually, Lepisto dropping off a little bit in those last couple corners. That was a horrendous end of the lap. Back to this battle for the podium in the GTOs. Riley Thompson also coming up on traffic within his own class. Thomas Delnoof ahead of him. Ove Trangerade, turning in very early. Riley Thompson looks like he is feeling threatened.
He's done a great job all race long to hang on to this podium, but he doesn't want it to slip away in the final couple of minutes of this race as they weave throughout traffic there. Trangerade wants it, and Riley Thompson knows the skill and the speed that Trangerade has, and he knows he can get around him. He just has to prevent that from happening.
It was Bronislav Robinek getting out of the way. You saw off track, and Lucas Fort is the one ahead of him, not really doing many favors for Riley Thompson. Certainly not looking like he's ready to jump out of the way. Ove Trangerade gets closer and closer to the back bumper of that number 10. Now fully off course. This time it's Lucas Fort taking off track. 2 laps left to go, but Trangerade's got a fantastic run. And now they've got the leader coming up on them. They're side by side into riches. Trangerade has the inside this time. Here comes our GTP leader, and poor Rob Olenek goes off into the barriers and all of that. Thompson tries to get back at Olenek, but just doesn't have the speed. At least going into the corner. Coming out of the corner, though, he's looking very good. He looks to the inside, coming down to Brundle. Another door-to-door battle between these two in the final laps of the race. Trangerade carries more speed, but he's going to be very shallow on the entry. Manages to hold it, but momentum swings back in favor of Riley Thompson. Through the bomb hole they go. This is to decide the last spot on the podium. Finally, Trangerade is fully passed, but I don't think Riley is going to take this lane down.
Thompson's held third place this whole race. He doesn't want to give it up here late. He's going to put up a big fight here.
As the white flag comes out, we got about half a lap for Iamaki. A little look to the inside from Riley Thompson. I'll jump over to our leader when we need to, but right now this battle is too good to leave. Thompson continues to poke his nose and up to Wilson, but can't make it. And as they come onto the backstretch, we got just a little bit more time to see if there's another pass attempt before we jump away up to Brundle.
Oh, he's looking.
Go up and over the curb as they now get side by side, and that's unfortunately when we need to step away because Ardo Iamaki is coming off the final corner just barely ahead of his rival Lepisto. Iamaki is going to take the win. We got some time to cover this action because the leader of the GTOs is still a ways away. Thompson is back ahead of Trangerade with that side-by-side action. Trangerade trying desperately, going completely off course, but he's not going to have the grip in the green stuff because Riley Thompson is going to take third.
Yeah, Trangerade went completely off track, just frustrating over driving that turn, trying to defend it against Thompson, and Thompson slipped right down through the inside there in the bomb hole and took the spot away from him.
And probably one of the calmest wins we've seen in the GTO in a while. Phil Lake leads the way, gets a little bit of an extra lap since he was ahead of those GTP leaders. So the UK&I driver swings it around Coram, down to Murray's, and the number 6 car is going to win in the GTO class here at Snetterton. That's just about going to wrap things up. I think Albertinelli and Scurry fighting for 8th position. Looks like that is going to finish as they are as they cross the line. So with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, and stick around because we'll have all the upcoming races on GSRC on your screen. Welcome back here to Snetterton. We just watched round 9 in the Kamel GT series, and Artie Amaki took the win, but it wasn't by a whole lot, about a second between himself and Anti Lepisto, who battled it out for the lead most of this race. John Keefe, we didn't even really pay attention, didn't even report it at the end, but he got a podium. Nice job to John on taking advantage of others' misfortune. Fabian Gerber tried to chase him down, but has to settle for fourth after multiple incidents during his race. Radar Anderson finishing fifth, with Martin Krejcik finishing in sixth. And Paul Krohn was 2 laps down, but he got to the end and saw the checkered flag. He finished in seventh. What about the GTO finishers, Nick?
The GTO finisher is Philip Lake. Gonna take the win with Makanos, Thompson, Trangrade behind them. What a battle that was. Jamie Hall, Matthew Jette, and Hideki Koivisto. Andrea Albertinelli, we saw him at the end there, be able to hold off Franco Scurry there. I believe that was for 8th place. Lucas Fort behind him. Bronislav Robanek, Ian Hannon, Rob Olenek. We saw Rob Olenek there. He's going to finish 20th overall, and that's got to be a disappointing day for him. He was running top 5 in the GTOs all race long. Had some late trouble there, but Thomas Delmuth there, Michael Haynes, Gregorio Buscemi, Tanner McCullough, and Brian Shanahan are going to round out your GTO field.
And as we get ready to talk to some of our finishers, I believe we've got our winner in the GTOs up first, which is probably good because we didn't get to see a whole lot of what he went through other than the first few laps when he still had drivers close. Phil, that's from our view, looked like one of the more calm wins you've ever had in this class.
Yeah, one of the more calm races. There was a couple of scares, but yeah, overall not too bad.
We were a little bit surprised that the draft seemed to play such a big role in the battles out there today. Did you know going in that the long straightaways would have that much of an effect at this track?
Yeah, from practice. Yeah, the corners after the 2 long straights are pretty much the only place you can get a move done. So yeah, I wanted to build a gap as soon as I could and try and break away from everybody else.
This course seems to really divide opinions on what people think, and the different circuits that they have, the different versions of this circuit that they have, also seem drastically different from one another. So now that I believe this is the first time Kamel has run the 200 layout, what are your thoughts on it?
I like it. I think overall Kamel should probably use the longest layouts available just because of the amount of cars, and it just helps space everybody out a little bit. But yeah, I enjoy the 200 layout as well.
Yeah, a lot simpler, but certainly not simple to drive. Well, Phil, congratulations on this week's win. Hopefully you have more success with the last 3 rounds of the season, and we hope to get to talk to you again.
I hope so too. Thanks, guys.
It's Phil in and around the lake talking to us about his win today. Up next, Nick is ready to talk to our 3rd place finisher and the prototypes, John Keefe.
Hey, Joe.
All right, John Keefe. Hey, you stole a podium. Talk me through that. The finish of that race. You got to watch some pretty crazy battles in front of you. You stayed out of trouble and you avoided it. You finished P3. How was that?
There's something about Snetterton and me. Both times we've ran here, I've ran really well. Difference between this time and last time is I didn't make that spinning out mistake, so I actually kept the position. Yeah, as far as craziness, I didn't see too much. I actually had a relatively quiet race today. But yeah, I don't know. I love these little like bull ring type tracks. They're a lot of fun once you figure out the flow of traffic.
Yeah, how was it? The flow of traffic here today was pretty chaotic, but how hard was it to defend and get around these GTOs while still racing with other GTPs yourself?
Yeah, I mean, just don't pay attention to the guy behind you a whole lot, and then you won't feel the pressure as much. As far as passing the GTO traffic, there's places where if you just follow them through, maybe slow down a little sooner, everyone gets through faster. Both of the I'm horrible with track with corner names, but after the bridge, that left right heading to bomb hole. I know that one. That's if you haven't pulled up, directly next to an Audi before the bridge, then it's just a no-go situation, and you just kind of hang out behind them, and then get them either going to bomb hole or coming out of. So everywhere else is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Brundle and Nelson there. We saw that. We saw the Brundle and Nelson with caused quite a bit of chaos today. Well, John, you ran an awesome race. We hope to talk to you again here soon in the next 3 weeks in this series.
Okay, thank you. And sorry for calling you Joe in the beginning. It sounded like Joe for a
Oh,
second.
that's all right. Hey, we have a Joe in here.
Yes, you do. All right, guys. Thanks.
That was John Keefe, and I was speaking, so he did have it sort of right. Just didn't know that he was going to be talking to Nick. I am going to be talking to Riley Thompson, third place down in the GTOs. Riley, you gave us some of the best excitement all race long with your battle for third, holding off both Ove and Rob.
Yeah, I don't know how we didn't make contact at the end there, especially in that one corner after Bentley. I'm surprised we never made contact through there. I was sideways the whole time trying to keep it off of him.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, you did have some contact with Rob at one point where you slid over that inside curb. Can you tell us a little bit about that moment?
Yeah, with that Nissan coming through, I think he was a little too far back. And so by the time he got there, I also panicked a little bit, got on the brakes too hard, and just missed the corner a bit.
Both of you managed to come away with it, but did you get damage that hurt how the car handled or any of its top speed, or was it just pretty much trundling on?
I think I got low damage, but I don't think it affected us too much, if at all.
Well, you certainly gave us a lot of fun to watch. Talk about that last battle with Ove coming on the final lap. I mean, was your heart pounding during that one?
Yeah, that whole time it was just trying to use what he was when he was trying to get by me. So I'd try and get to the inside or outside, I don't remember what it was, into the first corner, and that didn't work. So tried to get to his inside and the hairpin, that didn't work. And so at that point, my only option was the final corner after Bentley. So I knew I had to go for it there, and somehow managed to make it work.
Yeah, always a tricky one to try and overtake. Well, congratulations on managing to sneak onto the podium here, and hope to see more good action from you next week.
10-4. Thank you, guys.
That was Riley Thompson, third place in the GTOs. We finally have our fourth place finisher in GTPs. Nick is ready to talk to Fabian.
Hello.
Hello, Fabian. You fell just short of a podium today, but what a race you had. Not a single driver, I was just looking in the whole field, the Nissans or Audis, finished with 0 incident points. Fabian, we saw you caught up in a couple of incidents there. Talk to me about how you managed to get back up to fourth.
I'm not so sure myself how I did that, but I had more accidents than in the whole last 2 seasons. I think it was really a horrible race from that point of view. But it was kind of fun, a lot of action, and I'm not so sure what happened all the time. The first one with Arthur was definitely my mistake. I just assumed that he would pass the Audi in front of him, but I didn't see the Audi, what he was doing, so I was actually too close to react. So it was my mistake. I'm sorry for that. But later incidents were different.
Yeah, Joe and I have been asking a couple different drivers today how they like the Snetterton 200 layout. How do you like it around here, trying to battle with your fellow Nissan competitors while getting around out?
Yeah, I actually like the track. It's too small for the Nissan, I think, but it's still fun to drive. And I think it's not the problem today that the track is not appropriate. I think a lot of drivers weren't well enough prepared. There was so much people off track and driving different lines from each other, and some Audis were giving you the racing lines, which they shouldn't. They should stay on the racing line, and you never knew where to go, and that was really difficult to handle.
All right. Well, Fabian, you said it was fun to drive around today. It was fun for us and all of our viewers to watch. We hope to talk to you again up here in the GSRC booth before the end of the season.
I'll drive the rest of the season, of course, and I look forward to next week and see you guys then. Thank you very much.
That was Fabian Gerber, 4th place finisher in the GTPs. He's one of our competitors vying for the championship, so I'm not surprised that he'll be sticking around for the last few races of the season. We are going to close up here today. We got a lot left to go. We are actually still live with DGFX currently. If you want to check that out on the Global Sim Racing channel, we'll talk about that in a second. But a big thank you first goes to the Kamel GT community, of course, for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and also to iRacing for bringing Kamel GT onto the iRacing Esports Network. Again, if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment on IESN. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Nick, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Ram. Don't forget, head on over to our YouTube page, GSRC, which again is live right now with DGFX, and there's a big red button that also says subscribe. Make sure and subscribe to GSRC so that you don't miss a moment. Next race, they're going to a little bit longer track, but also very tricky to pass there. Imola, that'll be Saturday, November 17th at noon Eastern. We'll also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.